is not a damsel in distress. I'm here to tell you that the women that you regard biblically, the very few that you see, you are not regarding at the height that you should regard them. In this era, in this matrix, we have been conditioned and programmed to undermine the credibility of women. And it's just not correct. It's not to challenge men. You always got to explain this portion of things. You know what I mean? You got to explain it. It's not to challenge men. It's not that women want to be men. The Queen of Sheba doesn't want to be Solomon. She's quite content being feminine. But it's to know your role. And God did not create women to be passive stepping stools. These are powerful women, queens, anchors. She has come upon King Solomon to prove him for a particular purpose that has not manifested itself yet. And because of the manner in which she approaches him, he sees commonality with her. We are back to Adam and Eve in the garden, and they are both naked and not ashamed. They are not afraid of each other. They're trusting because they have mutual commonality. And because he knew that she understood, because he knew by way of the connectivity through the heart, through love, through truth, through purity, he could explain to her things that he experienced of God that he couldn't explain to anyone else. Even the priests that David blessed Solomon with, that were David, his father's right-hand man, Solomon couldn't connect with at the level he could connect with the Queen of Sheba in. They are two people standing within the fullness of their creation, giving the fullness of themselves. And there was not anything hid from the king, which he told her not. He tells her everything. He tells, when it's Bible says there wasn't nothing that he didn't tell her, that means he told her secrets. He trusts her. And the only way that this king can trust her is if he knows she's bound by the same cord. If she betrays the trust, she's bound by the same punishments, just as if he betrays the trust. Oh, friend. And when the Queen of Sheba had all of Solomon's wisdom and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent by which he went up into the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. What the Bible is conveying is when she saw and experienced all these things, when she saw and heard Solomon speak to her his wisdom, which she already had, in order for her to know and to prove King Solomon's wisdom, she already had to have it. She's cross-referencing what he is conveying to her own knowing. She's sifting him. And she's also sifting the food she's eating and partaking, which is a spiritual experience in itself. It's synonymous to the breaking of bread biblically and partaking of bread and wine. But they're not partaking of bread and wine. And she's sitting amongst him as he normally is amongst his brethren when she's not around. She's getting the full experience. Sitting of his servants and the attendance of his ministers and looking and seeing what they're wearing and how his cupbearers behave and the ascent by which he went up into the house of the Lord. How he goes into spirit. The process that happens, how he behaves, what his rhetoric is, what his mannerisms are, how he looks. She's relating. She's sifting everything against what she knows of her own self. Commonality. And she said to the king, "It is a true report that I heard in my own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom." She's saying, everything that I've heard, I've seen. Everything you're doing here, I got going on back home because I'm the queen. This is the same way I run my kingdom. All the things that you utilize, I utilize them too. Your thought processes, I utilize the same way. I'm going to skip to verse 9. "Blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighteth in thee, to set thee on the throne of Israel. Because the Lord loved Israel forever, therefore made he thee king to do judgment and justice." Listen. "And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and of spices very great store, and precious stones. There came no more such abundance of spices as these which the queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon." In ancient times, spices were very important. They were on the level of jewels. Spices, cumin and turmeric, black pepper, all kinds of salt, paprika, coriander, cinnamon. All of these things were very expensive and they were hard to get. Queen Sheba stocks Israel. She's like, a manufacturer that comes and sets them up. She's setting up Israel industrially. They are no longer just a formidable kingdom with the might of God backing them. King Solomon would go from just being very wise, having wisdom, to very rich. He would go from having one aspect, which is the spiritual component. He would have the spiritual anointing. He would have the wisdom of discernment. He would have the wisdom of how to stay the head and not be turned by those that are wise in spirit. He would have that wisdom. But he would not have the material aspect. He was in a deficit in a sense at the time because he does not have the material aspect. And because he didn't have the material aspect, he's dependent upon getting things on consignment. As we saw with King Hiram. Hiram fronting him the services and the goods at times, and Solomon just coming with the manpower. Now, Solomon doesn't need any fronting. These nations would establish Israel. And it will be by a woman. Friend, it will be a woman again coming to establish a thing. We see it will be the feminine perspective that would establish its earthly presence. The foundation of which we step on, all of the life, all of the nature would be founded off of the feminine perspective. All of it, even the heavens, all of that we see in this realm is founded off of a feminine perspective.